Hello everyone, Headings here for an extremely hardcore tutorial on how to make your own split field diopters. If you don't know what split fields are, they are diopters that cover only half of the lens. By doing so, you can have elements in focus on the foreground and the background at the same time. I started to obsess about these after watching The Hateful Eight, which features a split field shot. So I went on eBay and started to hunt for them, but the only thing I could find were the small ones. And I needed at least 72 millimeters to cover my anamorphics, so I decided to make my own. And it's a technique that requires some practice to get used to, so the sooner you get yours done, the sooner you can start practicing. What are we gonna need here? Diopters. Mine are 72 millimeters, but you can get whichever size you like. A few circular polarizers. A black Sharpie marker, many clamps, lots of sandpaper or sanding stones, wire, a transformer, minus 24 volts, 50 watts, nichrome wire, thicker than gauge 34 for your own good, a ceramic connector, lens wrench, gloves, mask, protection goggles, pliers, X-Acto knife, a ruler, and a water sprayer. Electricity is a key part in this tutorial, so play super safe. I had a ton of help from my friend Bruno Nico, who's starting his own channel with a series of DIY videos. His first project is making an electric bike from scratch, and many things can go wrong with electricity, so I asked Bruno to help me with voltage, current, resistance, to make sure that we would not burn the house down in the process. And always wear protective gear and be super careful with all the steps in this tutorial. Let's get things started with an easy step. Remove the diopter from its original filter frame. These rings are super cheap and you won't be using them anymore, so don't worry if the locking ring breaks in the process. Now the electrical rig. Connect the transformer to the wires and the wires to the ceramic box. This thing is meant to resist great heat and contain electricity. Now, make your nichrome loop. My wire was too thin, gauge 34, so we had to make it thicker since the heat was melting it right off the bat. Connect the loop to the ceramic box too. The nichrome wire works as a resistance and heats up as electricity passes through. I highly recommend using an extension with its own fuse instead of connecting this contraption directly to a wall outlet. Step away from this for a second, fill your spray bottle with water and put it in the fridge. With your diopter, ruler, and X-Acto knife, head outside. It's time to score the edges of the diopter to hold the wire in place. Use a piece of cloth as a base so the glass doesn't get scratched and there's some tolerance for the pressure you're applying. Don't put too much pressure or you'll break the lens, but if you do it too lightly, you won't carve the line you need. Wear mask, gloves, and goggles for this. Glass dust is a mean thing. Back to the wiring, rig up everything to hold the lens in place. Don't hold it with your hands for cutting. The wire goes over 800 degrees Celsius, and the glass heats up as well, so you don't want to hold that. We used a bunch of clamps to hold the ceramic box, and another two attached to a tripod as a flexible arm to hold the glass in place. The two popsicle sticks make sure the clamp isn't scratching the glass. The sticks also handle the heat. Fit the nichrome wire on both sides of the lens using the cuts in the glass. The wire should run right through the middle of the diopter. We use the convex side so the lens itself helps in keeping the wire stretched. You want it to be as stretched as possible, applying some counter pressure to the glass. This is the hard part, but it's also when the magic happens right before your eyes. Turn on the transformer and wait for the wire to heat up. Give it a good minute. Turn it off, spray the glass with cold water. Heat it up again, spray it with cold water. It takes time. My transformer was at the very edge of dying while we did this. You'll be motivated to continue since you're able to see the cracks forming through the glass. The center is the thickest part and it's a pain, but eventually it'll give in. As a reference, the entire process took about 4 hours for me, but we were still figuring things out along the way. This will get you 2 halves of a circle and an edge that tries to cut you just by looking at it. Once more, with your mask, goggles, and gloves, head outside. Grab the sandpaper and bucket of water. Using a coarse sandpaper, or sanding sponge in my case, submerge the glass and sand the edge away. Don't do it flat. Always sand the glass at an angle to smooth it out. This step takes a reasonable amount of time. When the edge is straight, switch to a thinner grade sandpaper for finishing it up. Now you'll have a friendly edge that won't chop your fingers off. The problem is the white of it will introduce a terrible glow across the frame. Using the black Sharpie marker, paint it the best you can. Since you sanded it down, the ink will stick for good. The last step is to get the glass and mount it on the circular polarizer ring, so you can rotate it as you please once you put it in front of your lens. On the bright side, each set of diopters gives you 2 sets of split fields, so you can keep the leftovers as backup gear. Some last minute advice if you're thinking of trying a different method than the wire. I did that for my first split diopter. I tried the flaming thread method, then I tried a glass cutter, both failed. We ended up hammering a ruler down the middle of the glass, which cracked unevenly, of course, and on the good half, I had to sand down 1/8 of an inch from the diopter. It might not sound like much, but it took me 3.5 hours to do it, and it still could benefit from more polishing to get straighter, so go with the wire. As mentioned before, I had tons of help from Bruno Nico, so you should definitely check out his channel for more extreme DIY projects. If you decide to try this process, let me know how it goes. Keep me posted on the results, and I'll go back to work here because Vancouver is sunny for a change and I gotta shoot as much as I can to keep you all busy. So subscribe to the channel, check the blog for more tutorials and anamorphic stuff, and I'll see you soon. Tjitverheddings out.